Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where we are all learning together to peace out. I'm actually practicing it this morning, but you're not going to know the details. But I think it's getting just a tiny bit easier to reframe my mind back into God will take care of me no matter what the situation is, right? Because I got several, just like you, I got several things on my plate. I was praying about them this morning, actually. And so I actually went over to Matthew 6. I went over to the Sermon on the Mount, and was because I wanted to reread what Jesus said about don't worry about today because every day's got, or don't worry about tomorrow because every day's got enough trouble of its own. And I'm like, yeah, I got a list. I know that part. I know that part, right? There's all kinds of stuff going on every single day, no matter what. Even our best days, right? There's just stuff on our list that we've got to take care of, we're concerned about. Maybe it's people, maybe it's money, maybe it's relationships, maybe it's a job, maybe it is, you can fill in the blank because you got your own story, right? We all got all these different story elements coming together to, or I should say, all these elements coming together to make up our stories, right? And so it's like, man, which one should I worry about? And Jesus says, don't worry about anything. And then he says, don't worry about tomorrow. And I'm already worried about, I already got my list ready for tomorrow. I don't know about y'all, right? But don't worry about tomorrow because each day has enough trouble for you to take care of. But it doesn't matter if we're talking about right this second, if we're making plans for tomorrow, if we're making plans for the weekend, if we're making plans for a career, retirement, whatever it is, we're just going to trust God. So I was reading that, but then I ended up over in chapter 8. And it's the story where Jesus calms the storm. One of the stories, just one, just one. See, he did it more than one time, right? We know he walked out on the water once. We know this time he was asleep in the boat. He did it more than once, maybe just to maybe send a message to us that I got you and I've got you more than once, right? If a storm comes up, I can calm it. And if another storm comes up, I can calm it. And if another storm comes up, I can calm it. He's got us, right? He's got us. So in Matthew 8, it says that Jesus got into the boat and started to cross the lake with the disciples. So he got in the boat with them and they're going across, right? And it says suddenly a terrible storm came up. Not just a storm, but a terrible storm. That adjective puts a lot of the story, right? A terrible storm. It says they were scared and they looked for him and it said Jesus was sleeping. He was asleep. He had total peace right there in the middle of the storm, right? Did he not fill that boat? I don't know, right? Anyway, then it says the disciples went to him and woke him up shouting, Lord, help us. We're going to drown. So it was a really bad storm because these were experienced fishermen. It wasn't, they'd been in storms before, right? They had seen all kinds of storms before. And so they were really scared. So Jesus wakes up and he says, why are you afraid? You have so little faith. But then he stood up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and suddenly all was calm. And the disciples were going, who is this? Who is this that can just calm the storm? But here's and so I can take this as a negative really easy because Jesus said, you have such little faith. Well, he didn't say you have zero faith. So that's a positive, right? He didn't say you don't have any faith. And here's the other thing. He said you have such little faith, but he still calmed the storm. He didn't say you don't have enough faith. Your faithometer is gonna have to be pumped up and plugged in and charged up. I can't do it till your faithometer gets up. You don't have enough faith for this storm. He calmed the storm even though they had little faith. He still calmed the storm for them. And so and you know what else? He didn't do other things. He didn't say, well, you're gonna have to pray one more time. He didn't say, well, quote, you go find a good scripture and quote it, which is a good strategy. You know, we've memorized some scriptures that we use, kind of like bullets in our weapon when things come to us. We have something to fight with when we memorize and we know scriptures and we know what God's already done and we can claim it in our lives too. And that's a good strategy. But he didn't tell them, okay, go memorize Psalm 91 and quote over and over that you're in the shadow of the Almighty, then you're going to be safe. And he didn't say, okay, you're going to have to pray for 10 minutes at least before I even calm this storm. He didn't say, did you write this down in your journal yet? He didn't give them any stipulations. He just said, you have very little faith, but I'm going to calm the storm anyway. And right now, just to be honest, I feel like I have very little faith. I got several things I'm facing, and I've got these decisions, and I've got these things going on, and I feel wiped out. But that does not disqualify me from God's peace. It doesn't disqualify us from, he didn't say, I'm not going to calm the storm because you don't have enough faith. You didn't pray right. You didn't pray long enough. He didn't, and let me throw this out there too, because this is one of my pet peeves. He didn't prevent the storm from happening. Their faith, even having faith in God, didn't mean the storm wasn't going to come. They were walking with Jesus. They were doing what he said. He was in the boat with them, and the storm still came. The storm didn't not come, right? The storm didn't go away or not happen because Jesus was in the boat. Isn't that a picture of our life? Jesus is in our lives. Jesus is in our boat. Storms are going to come. And we may not even have what we feel like is any faith at all. But he still brings his peace. He did not disqualify us. He just calms the storm. And he does it more than once so that we know he's fully capable. He's trustworthy. And he's got us too. And that's why we can peace out. Peace out, you guys. Have a great day. I'll see you again tomorrow.